where the drama starts. Lap 30, 8 laps to go. Sandopi hoping to take advantage of these lapped cars. Pileski goes, dives onto the right side. Very aggressive here. This is lap 4. The two Viceroys. Bill Frazier ahead of Matt Pileski. Frazier's off. Frazier hit the grass. You hit that tire wall, your day is done. Well, now it's lap 20. The Williams still trying to get around the Terrell team as he'll go around the lap car and around those at the same time. At the same time, he's got the inside corner. Will he ride the curb? Yes, he will. He will get him on the inside. Vito Maria leading us all into Moss's corner. Look at the beauty as his right side will cook the grass. Oh, a 180, no, a 360. Oh. Who will yield going into this corner? It's really not meant for too wide as it will be Gernald. Gernald will yield. Lots of smoke picking up from that Williams car. He is pushing it to the absolute limit. 26 of 30 now. Only 4 laps to go. He's going to get the run coming out the final corner. He's going to pull up side by side with the leader. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Who is going to get there first? It's going to be...
Last week at Watkins Glen, it was starting to become apparent that not only do we have a great Drivers' Championship shaping up between Gernot Frisch and Matt Wood, but a great Team Championship shaping up between Brabham and Ferrari as well. However, all of that might take a back seat this weekend because we are about to see something incredibly unique here as these competitors take on one of the newest racecourse configurations in the world and on iRacing for round 5 of the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship here at the Charlotte Road Course on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hello everyone, I'm Samuel Ryman and alongside me in the booth is Richie Hearn. Behind the scenes doing all of the button pushing is our director Amjad Yamin and he's using camera sets provided by Dougie Beard. Richard, the Charlotte Roval. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you ever encountered a course quite like this during your racing days. There are certainly a lot of hazards out here for these drivers to deal with.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Yeah, this is going to be one wild event, and I think it's just going to be a matter of survival. This track is interesting to say the least, especially for these type of cars. Great design, some uphills, downhills, but obviously we have those curbs and the sausage curbs, and most notably in the bus stop. These cars do not like any of that. So I think a lot of these guys are just going to try to survive, and we'll see. We got a big field. And it's going to be interesting to call, and it's going to be exciting to watch. Best way to get a view of this track, though, for you viewers, is let's jump on board that GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Juha Norlampi in the GSRC Lotus 79, so let's do a lap around the Charlotte Roval. Heartburn turn hits you in the face right away, but it's a pretty rapid first corner with little in the way of runoff on the outside. Watch out for the bumpy transition, too. Turn 2 has a big rise and is a little narrow, but it's still flat out. Hang left, and then you've got the combination of 3 and 4. The banking here can really help carry your speed if you hit it right, but also know that you can use the pavement right up to the grass, so swing it wide. From there, the quick turn 5 has you braking almost mid-corner to set up for 6. This bend is very blind and blends directly into 7, which is a bit like a street course with how the wall is right up at the edge of the circuit. Then you've got turn 8, where you finally hit the oval again. NASCAR 1 and 2 will be easily flat out. Hopefully you've got a good run because you're going to need all the speed you can through here. Drafting will probably be a factor, but pray that you don't wind up side by side as you approach the backstretch chicane. There's only a small lift required to thread this needle. Avoid any semblance of touching the curbs through here, otherwise expect attrition to eat up a lot of drivers. Once again, your foot is flat to the floor through NASCAR 3 and 4. Eventually, you'll bleed off the banking and then slam the brakes for the final chicane. Passing is possible into here, but it's a lot quicker than you'd expect. Once again, avoid hitting the curbs, and hopefully you've now finished a lap around the Charlotte Roval.
So that is what these drivers are going to be up against today. Which drivers is that, you ask? Well, let's take a look at some of the big names of the series who have accumulated the most points after the opening 4 rounds. As we mentioned, a good little championship battle shaping up between our defending champion, Drivers' Champion Matt Wood there in second in the points, and the driver he took it from, Gernot Frisch, He's trying to get his name back up to the top step of the podium championship-wise. He's done that race-wise many times this season, taking 3 wins in the opening 4 races in the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship. Adam Fraser keeping them both on this back there in 3rd place, and then Nicola Cottri and John Stevens rounding up the top 5. As we mentioned though, the Team Championship also worth keeping an eye on, because there are 2 teams that have definitely delivered outstanding performances in the last couple of races, and those are Ferrari and Brabham. However, Brabham is not there second in the points. Between them, Lotus has quietly worked its way up to the front there as well. So keep your eye out for the John Player Team Lotus team, and also Ligier Gitan still in the fight, 4th in the points. Walter Wolf Racing down there 5th, a little bit further back. So, with all the championship details out of the way, let's talk about the race specifics here, Richie, because as we keep emphasizing, this is an interesting one.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we are at round 5 of 12. They do have 4 driver drops and 2 for the team, so that'll play into as we get longer into the season. This race is going to be 24 laps long. Oh, the race is going to be 39 laps long, and no stops required for fuel or tires. They do have open setups. They use the standard incident points, so anything more than 17, you'll get disqualified, and they use the official iRacing Series points schedule.
Qualifying currently underway. Nicola Cottri at the top of the standings right now, but Gernot Fries is actually just navigating his way through the last chicane, as is Adam Fraser here. Fries just knocked Fraser from 4th to 5th, but then Fraser responds by going 2nd fastest, right behind Nicola Cottri. And let's give a huge shout out to the driver sitting there in 3rd place right now, Daniel Banker, the number 19 on his car. That means iRacing anticipates that he will qualify and race 19th in now 32 car field, but there he is, currently sitting 4th on the timing sheets ahead of this guy, Tommy Unholo, who's bumped his way up to 5th.
I think this qualifying is going to be super important as we talk to how difficult this track is. Even though we do have the oval section of the track to make some passes, you know, it's definitely don't want to be starting mid-pack here and getting caught up in somebody else's wreck. So this is going to be real important to see how these guys grid up for this event.
And Fries has spun on his 2nd lap. Fries will qualify no better than 6th for our championship leader. He has had to tow to the pits.
Yeah, and he hit one of those sausage curbs in the bus stop, just like we talked about, and you can see how much it kicks that car around. There's really no surviving it, so that's really going to play out. We're going to watch that as these guys go, but that's going to be an unfamiliar starting position for Gernot.
Now, the good news championship-wise for Gernot is that Matt Wood isn't here today, so this is kind of just an extra opportunity for Fries. Obviously, that might not end up working against Matt Wood. He can use this as one of his 4 drop weeks for the season and try and accumulate big points elsewhere. Here we are looking at Sergio Morales on track right now. There might be some names on track that you're a bit unfamiliar with. This is a single split of 32. Let me get this correct right now. Let's do some counting. 32 cars. It's a single split of 32 cars. So there might be some names towards the tail end of the field who they might not necessarily race all season long in the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship, but they might just enjoy the challenges that this roval poses.
Yeah, I mean, it's an opportunity for some of these guys to gain some points as there's one split. But like, I want to go back to what you said there, Sam, about Daniel Banker being car number 19, still sitting strong in that 4th position. So he's got to be pretty excited about that. We do have some other names in the back there who usually are up front. You know, Charles Eric Lemlin starting in the 8th position right now, and we also have Barry West. He's down in 20th, so I'm sure he's not very happy about that either.
I'll see if Barry West can work his way up there. Here we got John Stevens. He's the lowest qualified of the single-digit number cars, if that makes sense, out of the cars numbers 1 to 9. He has the number 8 machine, but is currently down 14th on the grid. However, looks like he still has another lap here to see if he can bump that Ferrari out and help his team defend the team championship lead as he comes across the line. 107.5 was his first lap, and now it's a 107.3. Doesn't move him up any positions.
As we wrap up qualifying here in about another 30 seconds, the standing start's going to be interesting as the field will wrap around that chicane on the front straightaway. So I don't know how that's going to work. I'd be worried if I was starting right in the middle of that.
Obviously, I must have been blind there. That was actually a did not count lap for John Stevens. He must have had an off track at some point. Now, all the cars out on track right now have completed their tune time laps. They're just trying to get a bit more experience on the circuit. So let's go ahead and read out your starting order. It starts with Nicola Cottri and Adam Frazier on the front row. Pablo Lombardo Suarez will be starting third place, and then the aforementioned Daniel Banker will be starting from fourth. Behind them are Tommy Mikel Unhola and Sam Doby in fifth and sixth. Gurno Frisch all the way back in seventh after that spin. Charles-Eric Lemelin behind him. Peter Konevsky and Simon Schultz round out the top 10.
Starting 11th will be Tanner McCullough, and right next to him will be Martin Blyes. Row behind them will be Glenn Corrigan in 13th and John Stevens in 14th. Coming up next row, Fabio Gugliero in 15th and Paulo Albertson. 17th will be Pekka Kalahara, and right next to him will be Keith Herner. Starting 19th will be Luke King, and starting 20th will be Barry West.
Behind them will be Daniel Gutasso and Peter Drzic. Steven Salas will start 23rd ahead of Nicolas Isidro. Todd Herner and Gonzalo Rodriguez Leon will be starting back in 26th position ahead of Peps Riccio and Russell Hamilton. Sergio Morales and Cutril Patanegra round out the top 30, and then Brandon Schneider will start 31st ahead of Melina Mann, the only driver to not turn a time in qualifying. I would not be surprised, Richie, if we're waiting for the full 2 minutes of gridding here, because I have a feeling some of those back markers may elect to start from the pits.
Well, like I said, you don't want to be starting right into that chicane, as you can see on our screen right there. So maybe starting from the pits is not a bad idea. I'm assuming that this first lap or two is going to be a little chaotic, and survival is going to be the word of the day, I think.
Yeah, and as we made note at the start of the broadcast, our on-screen graphic was incorrect. It said it was 24 laps. I bet some of these drivers wish it was 24 laps. It's actually a 39-lap race. And here it starts now with Nicola Cottri leading them away. Lights off, and away they go into the first corner. Cottri leads Frazier, and the field are not in a hurry to get single file. A lot of side-by-side racing still as they head on into the infield.
Trying to make some passes as they can, as everybody's going a little bit slower. It's going to take a little bit to get some heat in these tires, although the track temp is extremely high, so probably take about one lap. But here they come right into the infield section as they kind of go up and down this section leading on to the oval for the first time.
As they come out onto the oval, they got to be careful about how they apply the power, because the car can spin out here as they're trying to get the hammer down for the long go around the back straight. And now they come into that ever tricky boot section. You do not want to clip a curb here, especially at the wrong angle. Our leaders get through it okay. In middle of the field could be a different story.
Seems like everybody does a good job getting single file going through there. The problem with that is that if somebody crashes, there's nowhere for them to go, and they're just going to block the track as they come on to the finish lap number.
One lap in the books with Cottri leading the field around. Not a whole lot of big movers at the front end of the field. These drivers just trying to keep it calm for now, although we got a near contact for fifth place between Daniel Banker and Sam Doby.
These guys are battling hard as Daniel Baker goes wide. He's going to leave the door open for Sam Doby as he's going to make that pass going into that right-hander. And it's a good opportunity for Sam to get some space as they get up onto the oval. There'll be a little bit of draft that they can pick up because it's a long way around before they get to that bus stop.
Oh, as we got a spin, Steve Salas, I believe, has gone for a spin towards the back end of the field, and he has had to take a tow to the pits. We'll see exactly what happened on replay here. Oh, lost it under brake and clipped the inside wall.
Yeah, just with all these walls going around, it's like a street circuit.
Daniel Banker still being... sorry, we're watching the replay of Peter Koneski here. Oh, a big moment there in the inner loop.
Yeah, as he's coming down that back straightaway towards that bus stop there. And, ooh, just didn't brake enough and kept from hitting the guy in front of him, but that was the end of his race.
Right on board Tanner McCullough, get one more view of this. Tanner obviously got through, running in the top 10 now.
Ooh, just right underneath the car there. That was quite a view as the car went up in the air and he just drove right underneath it, so I'm sure he's glad that didn't take it. Oh no, Daniel Banker into the wall, into the pits.
Yeah, he had been gradually dropping back. We mentioned he had definitely qualified a lot better than what his iRating would have indicated. He'd been slowly losing positions, but now he's massively dropping positions after a hard impact in the wall there.
Yeah, it looks like just picked up a little bit of understeer as he came onto the oval and just clouded that outside wall and decided to call it a day. The leaders up front are separating themselves out. Nicola Kochi is quite a good gap to second place at the minute, so he's all along. Adam Frazier as well, but Pablo Suarez has got Tommy Unhola all over the back of him as they go through this infield section.
Yeah, and even if Kochi is able to pull away from his competition, though, the job's not going to be done for him. Lap traffic will become an issue during this race, especially with the amount of cars and the amount of laps we have.
Yeah, it's a fairly short lap. I didn't mention it's about 2.2 miles, so it doesn't take long to get back around to the leaders or to the back markers with 30 cars. He's going to be dealing with that more than anything else.
We saw Kochi at Tsukuba, the season opener. He got a podium finish there in third place. Right now, he's continuing to pull away from Frazier, and we got Spinner in NASCAR 3, Nicholas Isidro. He keeps it off the wall, though. If you're going to spin down there, that's the best way to do it.
They've done a great job with this track, though, compared to how it used to be. So it is a proper racetrack, even though it's tight. You know, they got proper runoff and grass, which it should be, and then walls. So, you know, keeps these guys honest. But great battle with Suarez and Unhola. I'm watching this right now as they come on to NASCAR 2 and into, or 1 and 2, as they go onto the back straightaway. And Unhola's really trying hard to get by Suarez, but no opportunity just yet.
So you mentioned the high track temperature. Obviously, the tyres should be up to temperature for these drivers by now. We've got a nice little battle shaping up for 8th position. Charles-Eric Lemelin not too far ahead of Tanner McCullough, who has picked off a few positions here today, been passing cars left, right, and also underneath at one point. He's worked his way up from 11th to 9th, and now he wants 8th.
Meanwhile, Nicola Kochi's still just kind of pulling away steadily. He's got a healthy 3.3 second gap to second place, Adam Frazier, who's running in that Ferrari there for the team championship points. Pablo Suarez still he's got a mirror full of Tommy Unhola. That has not stopped, and it's bringing along Sam Doby as well. As they're racing hard, they're slowing each other down. And I think it's going to be a three-car battle for third place in a few laps.
Yeah, we've seen Unhola have a couple of rough rides recently, so the fact he's up there battling for a podium position, I'm sure, is a relief to him. And with another driver quite familiar with this car in front of him, Pablo Suarez, so two experienced drivers there should hopefully be able to get to the end. Gernot Frisch, the championship leader, we mentioned he qualified 7th. He really hasn't done anything, Richie's, just riding around there in 6th.
Nah, Gernot's a pretty smart driver, so he probably realizes that it's going to be a little bit more of a survival as he locks it up and going into turn 1 there, gets a little sideways. He's got a gap to catch Sam Doby. He's about almost a second behind, but you know, there's a long ways to go. We're working lap 7 of 39, so I wouldn't be surprised if Gurno just kind of steadily picks up the pace as we get going.
Something's happened to Barry West. You can see he is very slow on the back straight. He's lost multiple positions trying to limp his car back around to the pits. Here we'll get an idea of exactly what happened.
He's right in the draft. He's going to try to make that pass going into the bus stop. And he just kind of catches the curb and washes up in the wall and damages steering as he's struggling to keep the thing going straight.
Yeah, now he's finally brought it into the pits. Unfortunately, that might be day over.
Still,
well,
that
Nicola
battle...
Coachy would like a race to be over now. Go ahead, Richie.
Right, I was going to say that battle's heating up. Like I said, they brought along Sam Doby into that battle for third, and man, Unhola's really trying to get by Suarez, but there's not a lot of places to pass, and it's very easy for Pablo to make his car pretty wide as they go around a lap car there.
Yeah, that was Brandon Schneider trying to stay out of the way of him. He's not damaged or anything. He's our slowest of the cars who's not had an incident today, just trying to ride around, stay out of trouble, and get a good finish out of this, as the attrition has claimed 4 cars so far.
As we watch on board, you see how tight it is going through that bus stop. There's really one lane and no room for error, so it's going to test these guys their mental preparation trying to do this 39 times without making a mistake. But here we go. Here comes Unhola. He's going to try to make a move going into that chicane and doesn't quite. Or that's turn. Oh no! He kind of stuck it on the inside of Suarez, and Suarez bobbled, and that's the end of his race. So that's the way I think this is going to be.
Yeah, Suarez was trying to defend the position and didn't work out for him. He was obviously off of a racing line. Don't think there would have been too many marbles out there yet, but for whatever reason, the car didn't like it. Maybe he overdrove the entry a little bit. And unfortunately, he is not the first one to fall victim in this circuit's history to that wall.
Yeah, I think he turned in, and then all of a sudden he was there. He reacted, and then he ran out of room. Well, that brings Tommy Unhola up to third place, but now he's got Sam Doby to deal with, so that battle has not gone away for that podium spot.
Yeah, Doby has done a good job so far.
Meanwhile, right behind them is going to be Gurno Frisch. He's cut into that 3-second gap now. It's only 2.3, so he is closing in on this podium spot. And he's doing it. Oh, yeah, the guy looked like he was going the wrong way.
Yes, we have a spin out of a first corner. It's Pepe Rosillo, rather, has had a spin and is having trouble getting going there, trying to do a 180 in the very narrow confines.
Trying to do an Austin Powers turnaround.
Oh, he did it. He got a back point in the right way again. He just lost a lot of time doing so.
Yeah, there's the replay. Just lost it on his own, nosed it in, and then he had to wait for an opening to try to make this turn. Everybody did a good job missing him because it's a blind section.
Oh, we got one car very slow on track right now. It's Pekka Kalahara, and that's very unfortunate because he had been one of our big movers here in the opening stages. He had started 17th, he had worked his way up to 11th. Now you see him losing all those positions he gained.
Meanwhile, the leader's now making his way through the field. He's having to pretty much pass a car almost every corner at this point. So this is going to be the challenging part for Nicola to just not only get around them cleanly, but just to watch out for those guys making a mistake in front of them.
I'll admit, I think one of the first broadcasts we did at this track on the GSRC was the Spec Racer 4, the Big Grid race, about 5 weeks ago. As Russell Hamilton has put it in the wall. He'd been running the lap down. He takes a quick tow to the pits and will join Pekka Kalahara out of this race, as well as other drivers. But you talk about being lap traffic and the challenges you face with that, Richie. I remember I was running the lap down at one point. The guy in third was by me. I was just trying to let him by and spun the car doing so. It's so easy to make a mistake here.
We got to pass for third place.
Yeah,
Sam Doby goes around Unhola as they go into that final chicane there. Now Unhola's going to get the inside for turn one, so these guys are swapping back and forth. They also have lap traffic to deal with, so it's a good job for all three of those guys. Sorry, Sam.
Yeah, no, nice driving by them and by the lap car as well. I was just making the point about how difficult it is to be a lap car around here, because it's hard enough driving one car around here, but when you have to worry about other drivers, it can be another challenge completely in itself. Now, fortunately, my incident ended without contact. Some of these drivers today, unfortunately, might not be as lucky because we're still very early on in this race.
Yeah, sometimes being a lap car is just as hard because obviously you're struggling for some reason, and then you don't want to ruin their race. So the best thing is you just drive your line, make them go around. But sometimes you feel obliged to try to get out of their way, and then you cause a bigger problem. So it is tricky. It's not easy being a lap car.
Well, we saw the battle for 7th come to a head just a couple moments ago. I've got to imagine Tanner McAuliffe is getting a bit impatient behind Charles-Eric Lemelin, because that battle for 7th is continuing as they go by the lap car of Sergio Morales running in 23rd place.
Nicola Kochi just doing an awesome job up front. No mistakes. He's putting down the laps. He's in the 106s right now, and he's got a 5-second gap over Adam Fraser. But Adam Fraser, he's got company coming. Unhola and Doby are catching him, and they're only 2 seconds behind. So if Adam's not careful, he's going to be battling for second place with these other two gentlemen really soon.
Another driver who has fallen victim to the walls of Charlotte, Melina Mann. Melina was the one driver who opted not to qualify, had actually done a pretty good race, worked their way up into the middle of the field, but now sitting in the pit stall with a lot of nose damage. And there the other two cars on the pits are Barry West and Russell Hamilton. We saw their troubles earlier.
That gap with Gurno up to Sam Doby and Unhola continues to come down. It's only 2 seconds at the moment. He's lapping at about the same pace, but I think he's catching the lap cars in a little better spot than these other two gentlemen. Oh, somebody spins right in front of Unhola, right in turn one.
What we mentioned, lap traffic, just trying to stay out of the way and run into their own trouble sometimes.
Yeah, there's a replay, just loses under braking, and then he just slides right in front of those two. Then here comes Gurno, and he's got to go around the outside, so that's going to kill his pace a little bit. Lost about a half a second, but everybody made it through cleanly.
Yeah, nice recovery there by Peter Jurczyk. I don't think that car ever came to a stop. You do see it has damage on it, though. A lot of rear wind damage. That can't be fun.
Yeah, he kind of hopped over the curves there. I've watched a couple of guys hit these curves, and it's damaging the front wings pretty easily. But I don't think aerodynamics are going to come into too much of a play here. I think it's just a matter of just manhandling cars. Doby's about to go the outside once again as they come into that chicane. And they get through it cleanly, but Doby's going to try to do the undercut and almost touches. And just kind of keeps going there in third spot, fourth spot.
Of course, the first ever race, or one of the first ever races to really take place at this track, was in real life the NASCAR Cup Series race here, and it ended in a last lap collision in the battle for the win in that final chicane. And Jimmy Johnson came under a lot of scrutiny for his mistake there, and wow, trouble there. Unhola off into the grass.
Oh, no, just a lap car. This is what we were talking about. As he comes around, that car spun. He had nowhere to go, and right underneath him. So Pepe just had a little bit of mistake, and unfortunately took Unhola out. Unhola's still going, but his front wing's all mangled. Oh, and Doby spins out as well. Doby is spun out after the bus stop.
And all this has moved Gurno Frisch up into third place. We'll get a replay here of what happened to Doby.
hits the curb just like we talked about. He can't touch it, and it doesn't hit anything, but definitely loses that position. And just like we talked about, Gurno just doing his thing, just being patient. He hasn't had to pass anybody in anger. He's just let those guys make the mistakes in front of him.
Now, Unhola and Dobie have both rejoined. Unhola in 4th place, Dobie in 5th place, and they've kept on going, so the damage can't be affecting Unhola too much. But now they find themselves behind the #1 machine of Gurno Frisch, and it's still Nicola Cottri and Adam Fraser leading the field around.
Yeah, those guys have a big gap. We're going to go to P10 here with Glenn Corrigan, John Stevens, Paulo Albertson battling hard. 3-way battle here for that 10th spot. You see some damage on Glenn's car, so he's definitely clouded the curbs at least once.
Yeah, John Stevens also sporting a bit of front wing damage.
Meanwhile, Nicola Cottri, he's up front. He's right now we got 16 cars on the lead lap, so he's making his way through the field here very cleanly. Healthy gap over Adam Fraser, 4 or 5 seconds, and then Gurno Frisch another 6 seconds back. So those top 3 are pretty solid in their own right at the moment. It's just a matter of just surviving, staying out of the lap car's way.
Luke Kin and Keith Herner having a pretty good scrap for 13th place, and Herner almost lost it in turn 2. Going over the crest there, the rear end of his car stuck out. This was all kicked off as they were lapping the car behind them of Cutril Petanegra. So Kin in 13th, Herner 14th right now, but Herner definitely wants that position.
Yeah, that's a good battle right there, as you can see right off the gearbox of Luke King there. And Keith Herner is going to try to get in the draft as they come down that back straightaway. Very tough to pass here. You got to have the pass done before you get there. It's about setting it up and trying to get the pass done going into that chicane.
4th place is switched back around. Sam Dobie has gone by Tommy Mikel Unhola, so Unhola must have made a mistake or something, because he had a pretty decent gap on Dobie before then. Or he could just be struggling with the damage. If he is, that's not good news, because having a very quiet race so far behind him is Simon Schultz, who has gone from 10th up to 6th, and he could be looking at top 5.
Yeah, I mean, he's running, that last lap was 2 seconds faster than Unhola. So Unhola definitely made a mistake, but now he's going to have to deal with Simon Schultz. As Simon is right behind him. That damage on Unhola's car is probably causing quite a bit of understeer, which is never a good thing. But here comes Schultz. Is going to go right around the outside of him, so you can definitely see that damage slowing him down the straightaway. And Unhola's going to have to just give it up and just kind of try to survive and try to finish out with the top 5, top 10.
Not impossible. We're only halfway through this race and the field has definitely thinned out. Good battle for 10th place might be shaping up here. John Stevens still right on the rear wing of Glenn Corrigan.
Yeah, also got a good battle here for 7th with Charles Eric Lemelin and Tanner McCullough right behind him, and they're catching up to Unhola as well. So a couple of good 2-car battles going on around this track. You know, the top 3 are separated out, but everybody else is racing hard as Tanner almost runs into the back of Charles coming onto the oval.
Well, this could be the opportunity that Tanner's looking for, because he has been trying to pass Charles Eric Lemelin for a little while now. He's been quite close to him. And now that Tommy Unhola is running slow ahead of them both, if that holds Lemelin up at all, McCullough might be able to make his move. Here they come into the chicane. Unhola's not going to move out of the way. He doesn't have to, of course, they're racing for position. And Lemelin might get stuck behind him, and Tanner McCullough needs to try and strike.
Yeah, you can really see Tommy struggling with that car. There's nothing he can do at this point except just drive his line. But he's definitely bringing this battle up behind them. And like you say, this is Tanner's probably opportunity. Oh, as Tanner almost loses it coming off that corner, and does lose a little bit of a gap, and that's going to give a little bit of breathing space for Lemelin for the moment.
And you see, they can't really make any inroads on Tommy and Hola through the infield. He's still able to drive it quite fast around the twisty parts, but when they come out into the back straight here, these two are probably going to blow right by him before the chicane.
Really see the speed difference as Lemelin's just going to go right around the outside and cut across his nose into the bus stop. I think this is going to open the door for Tanner as well. Huge speed difference here. Nothing you can do with Tommy. He's just a sitting duck.
Well, Tommy has the slipstream from Charles-Eric Lemelin there, and he's going to use that to pull back ahead. Oh, over the curb.
A little bit of a mistake there, but everybody continues on, Jimmy Johnson style.
Yeah, the point I was trying to make earlier, I was saying if iRacing had released a circuit before that NASCAR race, Jimmy Johnson might have came under less scrutiny for his mistake in that final chicane, because we've definitely learned how easy it is to make.
Meanwhile, up front, same thing. Nicola Kochi just doing his thing. 8 seconds ahead of Adam Frazier, so no pressure from behind. Adam Frazier running in second. He's got 5-second gap on Gurno. So those guys are all just quietly running along. And if they don't make any mistakes, it's going to end up that way.
I think Tanner McCullough just punctured his front wing by clobbering the curbs over in the bus stop. He keeps on in 7th place, but left front wing doesn't look as pretty as what it did.
Trying to give a shout out to Simon Schultz. Started 10th, running 5th. So he's done a great job. His car looks pretty clean as well. So he's just kind of doing his thing, and that's exactly what you have to do on a track like this, is not make your own mistakes and let everybody else fall by the wayside around you.
Yeah, even the driver ahead of him in 4th place has had a mistake today. At this point, only the top 3, to my knowledge, have had an incident-free race. There's some other big movers in the field. Here's one of them, Luke Kinn, up 6 positions from 19th to 13th. Still defending Keith Erner from behind. And a couple positions ahead of him, Paulo Albertin. I don't think we've gave him a shout out so far today. He's gone from 16th to 11th.
As they come onto the oval here, riding on board with Keith Erner. He's got Luke King right behind him. They come into that famous bus stop here. I'm sure these guys, their arms are going to be tired today, because you've seen a lot of counter steering, a lot of sliding around. We are working lap 23 of 39, so it's going by pretty quickly.
Could almost be one of those races where the drivers who are used to driving without force feedback might be at a bit of an advantage. Over halfway through this race now. Still got plenty of cars out there on track. Obviously about, let's say, half a dozen have fallen by the wayside. 15 cars still running on the lead lap, although Daniel Gutasso might be about to go a lap down the 15th, and we got another spinner. Gutril Patanegra has gone around. Doesn't look like he's got too much damage.
Right, going into turn 1, where we've seen a lot of people have some problems. Just on the gas a little. Ooh, looks like he got hit by somebody.
Yeah, he had one car behind him at the time.
Yep, he just got sideways, slowed his pace down. The guy behind him had nowhere to go. Ends up spinning him around, and somebody goes right in between them. Adam Frazier right behind that incident and was able to get right into the center of that incident and cleared it out. But that's one thing that these guys have to deal with. As we see, sometimes you can run a perfect race and somebody in front doesn't, and that's the end of your event.
So I'm looking down pit road. Peter Koneski sitting there with a lot of damage. I'm not sure if we documented that one. And then Barry West and Melina Mann as well. This race has definitely calmed down a bit. However, we still have a lot of battles out there on track left to resolve. And we are starting to enter the closing stages of a race where the drivers might start getting a bit aggressive.
Yeah, the top 5 are all separated out pretty heavily. Not much battles, even all the way down probably to basically 9th spot. This is probably the best battle going on in the top 10. And John Stevens says Glenn Corrigan all over his backside.
The 13th place is one of the more aggressive ones, I think, out there right now. We came back to this a couple of times. Keith Erner definitely doesn't seem complacent behind Luke Kinn. You notice as they come out onto the back straight here, they absolutely abuse that outer track limit blue line, and there's no penalty for them doing that.
Nicola Kochi is lapped all the way up to 15th spot. That battle we were watching for 13th and 15th between Luke King raging on, but Keith Erner's gonna have the leader coming around not too distant future, as Nicola is just doing a great job, just running a very consistent in those 106s.
In trouble for Martin Blaze, we just saw spinning off there. He'd been running 12th, pressure in Paulo Alberto for 11th place, made a mistake and drops back.
I'll move Luke King and Keith Erner up to that spot. So now Martin Blaze is going to be next car is about to go a lap down. He's got the leader coming up behind him.
What happened to Charles Eric Lemelin here? Trying to get by a lap car. Oh, didn't quite. Yeah, that could have gotten a lot uglier.
Yeah, he got a little sideways getting on the gas there, and let's let Tanner get by him as we go on board. He gets on the gas a little too early, and they're opening the door for Tanner. He's been battling with him for most of the race.
And Tanner's been sitting there waiting his opportunity. It finally came to him. However, Charles Eric Lemelin's still behind Tanner, and we'll see if he can keep with him in the closing 12 laps.
Yeah, those guys have been battling all race long, so we'll see how this goes as we get on. Tanner gapping him a little bit, but there is time to catch Tanner and try to make a move maybe at the end. These guys are racing for 6th and 7th position. Leaders up front, all separated out once again, just running nice and clean. Nicola Kochi now is lapped all the way up to 14th spot. He's getting closer and closer to Keith Erner for the next car in line.
Martin Blaze, car we saw spin just a moment ago, go a lap down, and Keith Erner is all over the back of Luke Kim once again for 12th position, taking different lines as they came back up onto the banking. But Luke Kin has done a marvellous job today at not cracking under pressure from Erner behind and being able to hold him off. He's rolling up the bank in there, trying to break the slipstream. And these two only about a second back of Paulo Alberton in 11th.
Oh,
and
no.
Commentator's curse.
King caught that curb all on his own and lost it. So that's going to give that position to Keith Erner.
And Martin Blaze. No, he came back on ahead of Martin Blaze, so he only loses one position. See, that would have been a good way to finish a race. He crossed the line that way, but unfortunately, he's still got 11 laps to go.
Yeah, he stayed ahead of Martin Blaze, but basically Martin is now directly behind him. And we have the leaders coming fairly soon, or the leaders coming up on these guys. Or the leader's already gone by them.
Yeah, Nicola Cochi's put them both a lap down. The good news about when leaders are coming up on them is, of course, a lot of lead battles have been broken up, so it's just a matter of letting one car by. Oh, and through the grass goes Unhola. And John Stevens, very slow, serving the slowdown. What is going on here? Big mess. Glenn Corrigan trying to find his way around it. Bit of a traffic jam going on down into turn 1 there.
Yeah, a huge traffic jam there. And yeah, I think someone was trying to serve a slowdown and just kind of backed everybody up. There you go. You can see him slowing down on the oval. And then that left no room for Unhola. Ooh, got hit. Cut the cross. Keep going, but then it backs everybody up behind them.
And somehow, I don't think any positions were changed throughout all of that. Because Nicolas Isidro was in the blue car that you saw benefiting from all that. We was able to pass them all, but he's a lap down, so he gave all those positions back as Stevens gets by Unhola due to Unhola's slow straight line speed. But then Unhola tries to suck back into the slipstream and pull back up. But giving Nicolas Isidro a shout-out again, he's actually got Gonzalo Rodriguez-Leon all behind him in 18th place. That's a battle going on.
John Stevens able to get around Unhola, but they're also bringing Glenn Corrigan into this mix, so this is starting to tighten up for that 8th, 9th, and 10th position.
And all of this going on not too far ahead of our race leader. So Nicola Cochi may have to navigate his way through this crowd before the checkered flag falls.
John Stevens just sliding that Ferrari all over the place, trying to get onto the oval. And there's Unhola on the straightaway there on the oval, but he just has no speed. He just opens the door up for Glenn Corrigan. Glenn Corrigan's, oh, they're blocking each other going into the chicane. Unhola's not giving it up easy. Glenn Corrigan tried to go on the inside going into the bus stop there, and Unhola was having nothing of it, but Glenn's going to go around the outside, try to outbrake him into the chicane here, and they don't make it. They clip each other, and Unhola's finally into the wall once again. Unhola's looks like he's getting a little bit frustrated because he's not being a very nice driver to any of these guys.
Well, the other thing Unhola might be running. Oh, he's lost the handling. He spins in front of a pack of cars into the wall. And that will move Keith Herner up into 10th place. Herner's been making inroads, and I think Unhola might be done, though he's not in a hurry to tow out.
Oh,
and he just clipped Adam Fraser, driver running in 2nd place. And that'll cost Fraser 2nd to Gernot Frisch.
Yeah, and Fraser's got some heavy damage. His car's not driving straight. He's not going to be able to make it around. He's going to be done. Oh, that's too bad. Unhola should have just probably gotten out of that car a little bit quicker. But there you go. Gernot Frisch doing his thing. His car looks pretty clean, too. Looking at it, he's running in 2nd spot.
So let's move Sam Doby up into 3rd. We'll move Simon Schultz into 4th. Tanner McAuliffe into 5th. Charles-Eric Lemelin into 6th. John Stevens up into 7th. Glenn Corrigan will go up into 8th. And Keith Herner, who was running about 12th or 13th there. And there's contact in turn 1. Leon has had contact with Isidro.
Yeah, they come into the corner and he just gets hit from behind. Looks like he just slowed down.
Was that Cochi?
Cochi was coming through.
Cochi, our race leader, involved in that.
Yeah, he's got this whole mess of cars in front of him as they come across the start-finish line into turn 1, and looks like that one car just slowed down a little too much, spun him out, and oh, Cochi hits him, goes underneath, but keeps on going. Doesn't look too bad. He's got a healthy gap to Gernot, so no worries about losing that position just yet.
7 laps left to go for Gernot Fries to find trouble, because I think that's everyone else who has been involved in some kind of contact today.
Oh, and right in front of Gernot Fries coming onto the turn, old NASCAR 3, somebody spins out in front of him. He had to come almost to a stop to miss him. Here's the replay. I don't know who that was. They come through the bus stop here, and you'll see this car spin out, and Gernot almost stops and then goes around him.
Yeah, so wondering if Fries would have been able to gain any time on Coachy that lap due to Coachy's incident. It wasn't that the case, actually. He lost 3 seconds due to that stop.
Meanwhile, that little incident with Gernot, he's brought Sam Doby is not that far behind him. He's only 3 seconds behind him, so Doby's doing a good job just staying out of everybody's way. Same thing with Simon Schultz. Nice run to 4th spot at the moment.
Now they got the lap car of Gonzalo Rodriguez Leon between them. Leon's been able to continue. There's Simon Schultz, probably the driver who's had the quietest race out there, relatively speaking. Although that will be up there with Gernot Fries. It will definitely be interesting once the checkered flag drops, see what the incident count is for some of these drivers. I'm surprised, and I was about to mention this with Inhola, I'm surprised we haven't seen any drivers tally up 17 incident points yet.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of these guys have damage and are continuing on, so they're definitely tallying up some points. But right now we have 9 cars on the lead lap out of 32. And it looks like we have about 22 cars still driving around, roughly. Getting close to the end, 5 laps to go, but it's not over, as we saw with Nicola Coachy. Even though he's all by himself, got caught up in somebody else's mess. So just because you're running clean laps doesn't mean somebody else can't end your race for you.
Yeah, well, he's 4 laps left to go when he crosses the line. Notice these cars have been straddling the apron all race long. It's either a quicker way around or something they're doing to break the slipstream from the cars behind. Obviously, they want to keep their right wheels up in that banking to keep them turning well. Now, the 2 drivers who made contact a little while ago, their battle has reformed for 16th. Nicolas Isidro ahead of Gonzalo Rodriguez Leon.
Yeah, Nicolas Isidro's car just looks like a demolition derby car at the moment as Leon goes by him. I think Nicolas has had a few incidents out there and not very happy with some of the other drivers I saw in the chat, but he's just hanging on here trying to finish this race out.
12th place battle still going on. Martin Blaze ahead of Daniel Guttuso rather.
Not many other battles going on at the moment up front, but like I said earlier, just because you're running by yourself doesn't mean something can't happen. So we'll keep an eye on these guys. But Nicola Coachy doing his thing. He's got 14-second gap on Gernot. Gernot has been able to gap out Sam Doby a little bit. He's 2.5 seconds up.
I'm kind of scared to give a shout out to a particular driver in the closing laps, knowing that if the commentator's curse comes onto them again, there's a little time for them to recover. But let's just make a note that Nicola Coachy is about to put another car lap down, and he's running in 8th position, and that would be Glenn Corrigan. And I'll leave it at that.
Eric Lemlin is caught back up to Tanner. These guys were battling earlier, swap positions during going through lap traffic, but now Eric Lemon is caught right up back behind Tanner with only 3 laps to go. Oh no! Lemon lost it on his own there going into turn 1, a little bit too heavy on the brakes and nosed in as we watch the replay here on board. I guess the commentator's curse there. But here he goes, just gets a little too heavy, a little deep, loses it, boom, and then continues on.
And let's continue on this replay. Let's go over the Coachy. Oh. Okay, so now we go to Nicola Coachy. Watch this, he gets on the grass, he almost loses it coming into the final chicane. So even without any pressure, our race leader almost spun off. And then you see Sam Doby going purple. So our driver in third place just set the fastest lap of the race, as we get one more look at Ricocci's mistake here.
Yeah, just on the break coming off the oval there, rear end comes around, gets in the grass. Fortunately, was able to keep it going, but I'm sure he had a little bit of a pucker moment with only 2 laps to go.
And now he'll be coming to only 1 lap left to go. He only has to do that braking zone 2 more times. This is a flag he's been wanting to see for about 38 laps. Nicola Cottri takes a white flag here at Charlotte, and he's got 1 lap left to go and a 13-second lead over Gernot Frisch. What a story that is. Gernot Frisch qualifying 7th. Don't think he's passed a single car on pace today. Boy, there's a whole crowd of team cars on the front straight right now. Sam Doby, it just passed his teammate cars of Paulo Albertin and Fabio Guerrero, and they're all on different laps, but they're all on the track together.
Yeah, they kind of separated out. He went right through the middle, so they probably saw him coming and gave him a little bit of room.
It'll be a great photo opportunity for that team at the end of this race. One car very slow on the banking. Cotri's gone by him, but Nicolas Isidro might be losing a few positions on the final lap. Cotri, providing he doesn't bugger this final chicane up again, he won't have to worry about anything. He's lapped all the way up to 7th place in the 32 car field, and through the final chicane, Nicola Cotri is going to win from pole here at Charlotte.
Gernot Frisch coming back, going right down through the chicane for the final time, going to take that 2nd spot. Well earned. Nice clean race for him. Sam Doby had a good run coming up behind him.
But Doby's very slow.
Yeah, I just noticed that. I don't know if he's out of gas or what.
Well, he's got a huge gap over Simon Schultz in 4th. He should still cross the line in 3rd place here. Boy, and Isidro is slow as well. A lot of cars out of fuel. So a bit of carnage here at the finish line, but for our lead lap cars, it looks like at the least they're able to keep their positions, because Doby got 3rd, Schultz got 4th, McAuliffe comes across the line in 5th. McAuliffe made a last lap pass on, well, something's happened to John Stevens, because he was ahead. Oh no, I apologize.
Yeah, Lemelin, yeah, he ran out of gas, I think, and lost that position to John Stevens.
Yeah, so it was Lemelin who wasn't able to make it to the line.
Yeah, he comes up onto the oval and then is just kind of coasting around. And doesn't make it around, ends up finishing a lap down in 7th spot.
Well, a very dramatic end to the race. Definitely a lot to talk about after this one. I think some drivers will be talking to each other as well. Well, we're going to take a quick break here on GSRC. We will be back with a full race rundown and driver interviews. Don't go away. Hello and welcome back to the Charlotte Roval, where we just witnessed a race that, you kind of expect a little bit when you come to the Charlotte Roval. But I'll tell you one driver who wasn't involved in too much carnage up front, and that was Nicola Kochi, our race winner today. What about the driver behind him though? Gernot Frisch, one of only 4 drivers in this 32 car field that finished the race without an incident point. The others being Simon Schultz, Paulo Alberton and Brandon Schneider. Sam Doby was third, and Simon Schultz, another one of those drivers with 0 incident points, was rewarded for being clean with the 4th place finish. Tanner McCullough rounded out the top 5, and John Stevens rounded out the lead lap cars in 6th. Charles-Eric Lemelin ran out of fuel on the final lap, as did some other cars. However, he wasn't able to make it to the end. That relegates him to the first car lap down in 7th place. Glenn Corrigan, I tried to give him a shout out late on, but I didn't want to do it because I knew that the way the race was going, that might end badly for him. Fortunately, it didn't. A nice 8th place finish for Glenn today. Keith Herner finishes in 9th after battling in the midfield from starting 18th on the grid, and Paulo Alberton rounds out the top 10.
Coming in 11th spot will be Luke King. Right behind him, Martin Blyes in 12th. Pretty incident-filled race for those guys. Daniel Gudutsu in 13th. Todd Herner 14th. Fabio Gugliero in 15th. Gonzalo Rodriguez Leon in 16th. Nicolas Isidro finishes 17th. Kuchil Pantagera in 18th, Peter Yursik in 19th, and Sergio Morales comes out in top 20.
Behind them in 21st place is Adam Frazier, who was running in 2nd before he got involved with Tommy Mikel Unhola, who had spun in the turn. Unhola might have been able to continue going, however, he hit the incident cap limit when Frazier hit him, and that disqualified Unhola from the race back down there in 22nd. Pepe Rocio is in 23rd, ahead of Brandon Schneider, who, as we mentioned, was one of the drivers not involved. It didn't have any incident points at all, so don't quite know what happened to him down there in 24th. Ahead of Melina Mann, and all these drivers are drivers who were involved in incidents. Peke Kalahara, Russell Hamilton, Pablo Lombrera Suarez, Barry West, Daniel Banker, Peter Koneski, and Steve Salis. All right, let's go and talk to our race winner, Nicola Kochi. Nicola, you had quite a different race to most of the field. You had quite a calm race, except for the incident down there in turn 1. Was there a lot of practice went into it to pull out the win today? Nicola, you got a copy? All right, we'll give him a moment then. I guess we'll get to speak to Gernot Frisch, perhaps. One more time here for Nicola.
Yeah.
Oh, we got Nicola. All right. So, Nicola, how much practice went in to pull that performance?
Well, not that much than usual. I just had like another extra day of practice that I usually don't do, but that I did only because I felt that the setup that I already developed was not strong enough, and I thought that it was a better way of doing it, and fortunately on Friday I was able to pull it out.
All right, now let's talk about the one bad part of a race was all that chaos going on down in turn 1. How did you get through that?
Honestly, I didn't, I didn't saw anything behind me on turn 1 on on the first lap, but I saw the complete havoc on all the rest of the race, and it was crazy. It was even impossible to do like a full lap without heavy lifting the throttle in at least half the corner of a single lap. So I just told myself to be smart, to be calm, and that even didn't allow me to avoid any kind of incident, because I think that I had at least 3. I don't know if you saw on the broadcast.
Oh, we saw you almost lose the car with about 2 laps to go on your own down in the braking zone for the final chicane.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that too.
All right, well, will we see you back next week at Road Atlanta to try and go back to back?
Yeah, of course I will try to do that, but I don't think I will be that competitive down there because I have to battle against people that have like thousands of races more than me, so they're gonna be a lot more prepared than today.
All right, well, thanks for coming to talk to us, Nicola, and congrats on your race win.
Thank you, guys. See you next week.
One step down on the podium, Richie, you've called up with Gurno.
Gurno, you got a copy.
Hi, Richie.
Man, great finish there. Starting in 7th, not your familiar spot. We saw you have a little bit of problem in qualifying. Talk us through that standing start going into that tight first corner starting 7th.
Actually, it was a nightmare week for me. I don't really like the track. And yeah, according to that, I had a really bad qualifying. I messed up the second lap in the chicane when I spun out. So yeah, I had a grid position that was not ideal. And on the first turn is really tricky here. It's so narrow and you really have to be careful not to hit anyone on the wall.
Yeah, it's definitely not a normal track for these type of cars. And it looked very, very busy. And I mean, you kind of ran your race like we thought you would, just nice and clean. You were one of maybe only 4 or 5 guys who didn't have any incident points. And, that's the way you have to do it to win championships, right? Just kind of don't take what you can get and not make your own mistakes.
Yeah, of course, you have to try to be clean in every single race. And this one was really tough. I knew it would be a survival race because this track is full of death traps. So I just tried to keep it on the track and pick up the pieces from the other cars.
Yeah, it seemed like the hardest part for everybody, even for our winner, was just the carnage that was going around. I mean, you can run the perfect race, but it was really easy for somebody else to ruin it for you. Did you have any real close calls?
Yeah, definitely. I was really lucky once when a car spun ahead of me in turn 1. I had almost nowhere to go. So yeah, it was just a small gap left for me. So I was really lucky in that situation and in some other situations as well. I think, it was not the best kind of racing on this track. Many of the back markers crashed even in front of lapping cars. There was quite some carnage going on today.
Yeah, it happened to Adam Frazier, who was running second. He got caught up in somebody else's wreck. But you didn't get caught up in anybody else's wreck. So, man, great job. Great drive from 7th. I'm sure you're happy this one's over. And Road Atlanta next. It's going to be a great track for these cars.
I'm not sure if I'll be there because there's the Daytona 24-hour race, which will take some commitment from everyone running. So I'll probably see you in 2 weeks.
Okay, well, we do get those 4 driver drops. So, well, anyways, congratulations. Great talking to you once again, and just doing what we always know. We always know what you can do is just run those nice, clean laps. So, if we don't see you next week, we'll see you in the week after that.
Okay, thanks, Richie. Congrats to Nicola and Sam for a good race. See you guys. Bye-bye.
I think congrats was for Sam Doby in 3rd place, not for me. All right, some drivers had good races, some drivers not so. Tommy, your race started quite well, and then unfortunately it kind of went downhill towards the end.
Oh, yeah, true. It was actually probably my best race so far in this car. I mean, not complete race, but so far as it lasted. I can't understand what was going on in that race. I mean, first of all, if you're gonna ask for race setup a couple minutes before race is gonna start, in my opinion, you are absolutely not ready to be on racetrack, especially on a race like this where usually you have best drivers. And I have a few more words about that, but those are not very suitable. But yeah, and then people, I have no idea what was going on there. I have Peter about a year and a half in iRacing, and that was probably worst race I have seen. People can't control their cars, fighting, lapping cars, and I mean, you have blue flags and you race and keep inside light and defend, and yeah, and people trying to unlap themselves on what's that fast chicane on the back straight, that first one. So that's not the smartest thing to do. And yeah, I have been driving in 4 races in a row in this car. I just can't believe it. And actually 3 or 4 times in this race, I was very outside, not very bad line. It was not really racing line, and I just got rammed into. So yeah, I really can't understand what was going on, as this is usually cleanest series in iRacing. So
Yeah, I have a feeling at the end there you were talking about the incident that put you out of a race, where that was actually Adam Fraser, the car in second, who got off a racing line a bit and clipped your car after you had spun because you had some suspension damage. Had Fraser not hit you, the incident that put you over the 17 incidents that put you out of a race, had Fraser not hit you then, could have your car continued? I mean, it already looked like it was pretty badly damaged by that point.
yeah, I'm actually pretty sure I could have continued, as in last race I finally got another race on week. I drove a couple hours ago and got much bigger hit. It was pretty hard to drive, but it was very drivable. And my car was stopped on very side. I was looking. Actually, there was 1 or 2 cars I had to wait, so I could have gone. So yeah, maybe it was a bit more sideways than I thought. I thought it was safe to park there and wait, but maybe it was not, and I should have taken the tow. But I was sure that the car is drivable and I can drive that way. So it was my decision back then, but I'm sorry for causing accident there.
Yeah, I think it was just a bit unfortunate then, it being the blind corner. Fraser didn't realize, your car was parked there, but the fact you planned to continue, there wasn't a whole lot of room for you to, try and do a 3-point turn or anything, get it going back around. Well, the good news, Tommy, is, it's just 1 race of a 12-week season, and next week we go to Road Atlanta. Is that a track you're looking forward to? And will we see you there for the Classic Team Championship race?
Well, I just want to mention that normally I would have taken tow right away if I had to do 3-point turn or even 2. But I was actually seeing the pit line, so I could have kind of throttle in there and do the turn there outside of racing track. So it would have been saved that way. But yeah, it has been so horrible 4 races that I'm actually can't believe that I'm saying that I'm happy that I probably miss next week. This has been so horrible that I need break, and it would probably have been break anyway. So yeah.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you back for the second half of the season. Hopefully, you'll have a bit more good luck for your way.
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you, guys, and see you later.
All right, well, that was Tommy Unhola, ultimately ranked 22nd today. And as he mentioned right from the start there, Richie, it would have been nice to have seen what he could have done, because he did have a good race going in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, him and, he was having a good battle. Same thing with Adam Fraser. Unfortunately, that's what caused Adam to get out of the race. But that's just what happens when you have a track like this. I'm sure some of those guys are pretty bummed out, and some guys survived it like Gurno did. So that's just the way it goes.
All right, well, we will be back next week here on GSRC with the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship racing at Road Atlanta for round 6 of a 12-round season. That will be the halfway point. Will we see some new names up front, seeming as quite a few drivers look like they'll be competing in the 24 Hours of Daytona on iRacing next week. It'll be interesting to see who can benefit and capitalize and score some big points down there at Road Atlanta. We would like to thank all of the organisers and the competitors from the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship for choosing GSRC and putting on another thrilling show today. We would also like to thank all of the companies that provide the software and hardware that we use during our broadcasts, and there you can see them all listed on your screen. Additional thanks goes out to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde. There on the bottom of the screen, you can see how to get hold of more of their great work. They provide our music. Thanks to the team today, Richie, Amjad and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can visit us at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on social media. We have a Twitter account at GSR Channel. Be sure to give us a like on Facebook and follow us on Instagram at GSRC_gram. All of the upcoming races for our other series are listed on your screen, so be sure to check those out. Mark them down on your calendar and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.